Michael. First of all, really, really nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Because the new DVD's out and there's going to be a box set, I thought it would be a good time to look back. When you watch some of those earlier films, is there anything about it that makes you go, oh, whether it's your hair or your voice or anything like that?
I think it's just, I mean, me in general is cringeworthy. To be honest, I not because it's particularly bad performance. It's just, you know, I was 10 or no, I was 11 or something. You know, it's never going to be amazing performance at that stage. And you know, I was always looking to build and get better and things like that. But it's just generally looking at myself. It's like having baby photos passed around, isn't it? It's not. No one loves it.
Yeah, I mean, more than that, it's almost like a whole movie being broadcast to the world in a way, isn't it? You're actually growing up in front of our very eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, it is very strange, I have to say, that I mean, obviously I don't think of it in those terms, but yeah, it's bizarre.
I think it's actually one of the things that makes it interesting for us as viewers, but, you know, what is it about the movies as a whole that you think the audience allow it to change? Because often, you know, with a series of films, we want the same thing over and over again, but that's not the case with Harry Potter. Why is that, do you think?
Well, I think it's like, I mean, it's the idea that when the band does their debut album and it goes down very well, they do a second album in more or less the same mould, people love it. If by the third album they're still doing it in that same mould as the first, people suddenly say, oh well, they're becoming boring and pathetic and they're not challenging themselves. So it was, for us, it was always about, you know, sort of easing people out of the formula that maybe they'd come to expect in the first two, which was obviously both directed by Chris Columbus, and so they had a similar style. When Alfonso came in, he brought his own style into it, and as every director has done to the films. So I think for me, you know, it's just about hopefully people allow us to change, because we do retain some of the continuity, and it's sort of in the story, in how we tell the story, which is quite direct. And there's, you know, there's because there's so many subplots in all the books that we have to cut out, we're left with one main storyline in every film, so it's quite a direct way of telling a story, I suppose. But also, I mean, I think to be honest, I think people like it because we change in the books. The books change so much that the true diehard fans of the books want the films to change as well. They don't want the same thing just reproduced over and over.
And is that progression something we see in the next movie as well? Is that darker still?
The fifth film, or the sixth?
The sixth.
The sixth we're doing that, right. I think, I actually think the sixth film will be slightly lighter in terms of, I was about to say lighter in terms of the amount of darkness, which is ridiculous. But I think it's going to be slightly lighter in terms. I think you're going to see it's much more comedic than any of the films I think have been to this point. But and there's a lot of darkness in it still. But I think it's possibly it's balanced out more than it might have been in the past. I mean, my natural leaning in terms of what I prefer doing is always dark stuff. I find it more interesting. I find it more exciting. But that's what's great about this as a challenge for me, is that I have to learn to really embrace that side of his character and that side of the film, which is very, very evident in the books. So, no, it won't be a step backwards, obviously, because that would be fatal, but it'll just be a step in a very different direction, I think.
And obviously, you know, there is almost already the sense of an end of an era. The last book's out, you're on the sixth film, another one to go, and then that's it. How do you feel about that? I mean, that's going to be a massive chapter of your life over and done with, isn't it? I
know. Yeah, no, it is very odd. I mean, I won't be able to look at a frame of any of the films without it being attached to a memory, or like, I'll just be thinking about what happened on that day of filming, or something like that. So it's going to be, or what was going on in my life at the time. So it's, you know, it'll be very interesting if I ever do look back at them. But I try not to, generally speaking.
Yeah, I mean, I think with you there was always going to be a massive danger that you were going to be typecast. Brilliantly, that hasn't happened. You've gone off and done other things.
Thank you.
You've just got you've just got Equus on Broadway, which is fine. You're going to be naked again. I can't look you in the eye. So what about life beyond Harry Potter? What are you going to be doing, do you think?
Well, obviously, as you said, Equus on Broadway next year. Get my kit off again. Right? I just finished doing, a couple of months ago, I finished doing a film called My Boy Jack, which is a TV film, which comes out in a couple of weeks. I don't know if this interview will have aired by then, so that comment might be irrelevant.
Probably will have.
Probably will have. Okay, well, it's out on November the 11th, and that should be great. I mean, I'm really, really proud of that, so hopefully people, if they get a chance to have seen that, will really have enjoyed it. See, I'm doing both tenses now. I'm sort of going from past to present. They will have enjoyed it in the future. And so, yeah, I mean, I think, to be honest, the film industry is quite fickle. And people can either be typecast, which would be horror, I would really hate that, or they can just fade away because they become less popular as an actor or whatever. But for me, my ambition is just to keep working and keep trying to do interesting, pardon me, interesting things in the future. And if I can achieve that, I'll be happy.
Well, listen, thanks so much for chatting to us. One last thing very quickly. I've met you, I've met Emma, various other stars, and by comparison, I just feel so tall compared to everyone else.
No.
I feel like Hagrid.
Do
Is there a
you?
part going for a giant
Your
in this
beard's
next
much
movie?
better, though. No,
I thought I'd shaved it off today.
no, I mean, we are all midgets. Yes. No, they've just been incredibly lucky, actually, thinking about it. We could have all become incredibly tall, but luckily we haven't.
Well, there's a happy ending for you. Thank
well,
you so
not
much.
really. I want to be taller, frankly, but there we go.
Cheers,
Nice
mate.
to meet
Lovely
you.
talk.